Good evening, you're watching The Real with Mike. Last week we spoke about masks, three most common ones: medical, surgical, N95, and the useless cloth mask. I think our government knows these masks uh, don't help with viruses, especially the cloth mask. You think every study in the last decade shows that inconclusively the cloth masks particularly do not work, but they're rendering them okay to use. That was the last video. This video, and I think they're using this mask as a form of fear and control. Keep that in mind throughout this. I want you to listen to this video with an open mind, because I think there's something much more sinister going on than what we're seeing. And you're not going to see this on mainstream media because the government subsidizes them with taxpayers' money. They're not going to show real content. It's obvious. North America, the States and Canada, both the media's been had. And they're pulling it over on us. They're pulling one over on us. And we can't let that happen. So if you want honest media, turn off the mainstream media and start watching some alternative media. If you don't turn off mainstream media, at least watch some alternative media, and you'll start to see where this is at. Like, you see what's going on, and the government's telling you something completely different. So let's go through this. Forgive me if I have to glance down at my papers. I don't have a fancy setup where I can read it up here. I'm new to this. I'm just trying to get a channel together to get people informed. I have children that I want to grow up in this country as the country it should be, and we all know it can be. And I think that's changing. Let's go back to the gun grab Prime Minister Trudeau did in May, because I think it plays a part. On May 1st, Prime Minister Trudeau announced the ban on 1,500 makes and models of what he called military-grade assault-style weapons in Canada, and it was effective immediately. He gave people a certain amount of time to turn them in. I'm not a gun owner. I don't have a gun license. So on those details, I'm vague, but he did put a ban on May 1st. The problem with this is full automatic weapons, military style, have been banned in Canada since 1978. And from Canada's own stats, from Stats Canada, own stats, own study, less than 1/2 of 1%, 1/2 of 1% of overall police reported crime is gun crime. That's really not too bad. We don't have a huge population. I don't think we really have a gun problem in Canada. Not yet. I'm not saying that can't be in the future. But today, I don't believe there is. I think in Toronto, you're starting to see some troubling signs. But I think that's an entirely different topic. Those are illegal guns. People aren't grabbing Grandpa's 22 or 303 or hunting rifles and shooting people up with them. They're handguns. And the people that have these guns aren't licensed gun owners, and they shouldn't have them anyway. The gun law will do nothing. And there's other places that have done this. We've been down this road. Now, if I wanted to, say, take control over a population, now bear with me here. If I wanted to take full control over a population, the first thing I would do is I would get control of the media. I would control what you're being told and what you're not being told, and what you're seeing on TV, and well, sometimes what you are seeing, but you're not being told. Brainwashing. You tell somebody something over and over and over again, and a lot of times some of these people want to believe it. So all you're really doing is reinforcing what they want to believe. So that makes it easier for the person to actually believe it, even if they see differently. Now, I'm not holding that against anybody. It's a fact. So that would be the first thing I'd do. I'd control the media. And the second thing I would do is I would start taking the guns. I would take the guns before the population woke up and realized what was going on. You'd have to get the guns. History has shown us again and again that when a nation is disarmed by their own government, tyranny is to follow. Adolf Hitler famously said, "To conquer any nation, you must first disarm the citizens." When this happens, it shows the government no longer trusts law-abiding citizens. When the government does not trust decent people with guns no longer can trust their government. Now keep this in mind about this gun grab, because I do think this is all is going to play in together. Like, let's look at the test that they do. They came right out and admitted that they give out false positives. Admitted it. They didn't hold that back. It's out there. Probably couldn't deny it. The Toronto Sun has even reported that Ontario's death count includes people who did not die of COVID-19, but they don't know exactly how many that is. But we are being shut down. Our economy is being crashed. Suicide is on the rise. OD is on the rise. Nothing good comes from these shutdowns. Nothing. And we're being controlled. Like, this is the Spanish flu or the Black Plague. And it's simply not. You can refer to the last video with Dr. Hudkinson talking about this. The declaration, the Barrington Declaration, with, I believe it was 50,000 doctors have signed. Do you think during the Spanish flu you would have had one doctor come out and say, "Oh, this isn't really a big deal, the government shouldn't get involved with medicine"? And do you think we would have had one doctor say that the Spanish flu wasn't very bad? We have 50,000 doctors saying that these draconian measures aren't helping anything, and in fact, they're doing more harm than good. So why do they continue to do them? Why are they crashing our economy? Why are they making people stay home and giving them free money? Usually when a government starts giving people free money, that doesn't stop. And that concerns me. And I have more concern for the children that are going to be grown up in this world, because they've been indoctrinated through school. Jordan Peterson speaks about this in great detail. And if you've never listened to him speak, it would be worth listening to him talk about the indoctrination in the school system. Now we're going to go into the spread of COVID-19. Right from the beginning, like I said, there's some dates here. I don't want to be mixing things up, so there's going to be a little bit of reading here. I wrote it, but I don't have it memorized. On December 13th, China alerts the world to a possible SARS-like virus in Wuhan, China. Then, on January 7th, China comes out and admits they have discovered a new coronavirus. The WHO, on January 9th, advises against any travel restrictions. The WHO advised against any travel restrictions on China. At this point in time, I wondered to myself, why? Why wouldn't you at least eye on the side of caution? See how this plays out before you invite it on over. Then on January 19th, the WHO claimed there was no evidence of human-to-human spread. While at the very same time, Taiwan puts a travel ban on Wuhan. Prime Minister Trudeau continues to allow passengers from Wuhan, merely suggesting to them they should self-isolate for 14 days. Trudeau kept his policy for 2 more months, allowing this virus to spread throughout the country. Then again, January 24th, the WHO once again advises against any travel bans from China. They did it again. They advised against it. I guess they wanted it to spread. How else do you wrap your head around that? Then on January 25th, the Trudeau government confirms Canada's first case of COVID-19. I think by this time, everyone was pretty well aware this was human-to-human spread. This same day, Patty Hadju says there are new border measures in place, but has very little detail. The very next day, China quarantines 50 million people. Prime Minister Trudeau continues to have open borders. By this time, I'm really starting to wonder about this. I don't get the open borders, especially for non-essential travel. You have to travel for goods and services. I get that. But for non-essential, I didn't understand it. The Canadian government tries to reassure Canadians by saying, we are at a much, much lower risk than many other countries. Well, most Canadians are thinking, yeah, and we'd like to keep it that way. On January 30th, the WHO declares the global emergency, yet still advocates for open borders and no restrictions. On February 1st, other countries started to implement travel bans from China, while the Trudeau government made claims these countries were racist and against China. And I think if we look back at these claims, it's quite evident these racist accusations were targeted towards President Trump. This really shouldn't come as no surprise, considering Prime Minister Trudeau donated $20 million of taxpayers' money to the very questionable Clinton Foundation in 2017. So he clearly wasn't a fan of Trump winning the presidency in the first place. On February 7th, Dr. Li Wang, the doctor who worked at the Wuhan Central Hospital, who died of COVID-19. This is the same doctor who was hailed as a hero for sounding the alarm about the coronavirus in the early days of the outbreak. 3 days after he issued this warning, he had a visit from the police telling him to stay quiet. He then returned to work only to catch the coronavirus and die. On February 9th, Canada made the decision to ship 16 tons of medical equipment to China. And I'm all for saving lives. It doesn't matter what lives they are. I do agree with that. I think you have to take care of your own country first. But at that time, I'm willing to give them the benefit of the doubt. February 11th, the WHO finally comes out and admits travel bans might be a good idea. But Prime Minister Trudeau, as of February 26th, still refuses to close the borders. Why? Why? Again, on the March 5th, Trudeau still refusing to close Canada's borders. And again, I ask why? Why weren't they closed? For non-essential travel. Then on March 9th, Canada has its first COVID-19 death. March 11th, the WHO comes out and declares we have a pandemic. Adam Scheer states in the House of Commons, says Canada is allowing passengers in from Italy without any type of screening. Knowing how hard Italy was being hit, why would anyone allow this recklessness? Unless there's something going on behind it. And whether you like Adam Scheer or not, what he says there is true, because I actually seen video of somebody in the airport asking questions about passengers coming in, if they were screened at all, and they weren't. Finally, on March 13th, Trudeau advises against any travel outside of the country. 2 days after it was declared a pandemic. 2 days after it was declared a pandemic, Trudeau advises against any travel. By this time, it's in Canada. It's spread all over the place. We know that. It just seems all the way through this pandemic, this COVID-19, Justin Trudeau was extremely slow in taking action to prevent any outbreak. Trudeau's health minister continues to say imposing border restrictions simply does not work. 3 days later, the Trudeau government takes a change in direction and closes the border, restricting flights but not completely stopping them. March 17th, the Trudeau government is stopping people from entering legally but still allows people to enter illegally. You just can't make this up. You can't come in legally, but if you try to skip across the border, we can help you out. Then on March 20th, Trudeau reverses his stance on illegal border crossings and starts to stop it. March 23rd, 24th, Trudeau goes for a power grab, sneaking a provision bill into his emergency spending bill, which would allow him to spend money without the approval of the Parliament. Does any of this make sense? There's more going on behind the scenes. You have a gun grab right before a pandemic. You've crashed your economy. And I don't think they're done with putting the economy down. And I don't think people are understanding how catastrophic it is to shut down an economy and start giving out money to the people. Now people are being reliant on the government. Some people might like that. I don't. It's a form of socialism. And socialism, Marxism, communism. The next video is going to be on the Great Reset. And I think people should start connecting the dots, because there's some serious things going on behind the scenes. On my next video, I'm hoping we can link all this together and you can understand where I'm coming from. We're going to look at the World Economic Forum, who's a part of it, what their plans are, and what Canada is going to do. All these leaders of these countries who are saying build back better. That was talked about in the World Economic Forum. Now what they have planned or would like to see the direction of countries to take is not good for me or you or our kids at all. Nothing good is going to come from this. And like I said, or I think I had mentioned Jordan Peterson talking about how in school kids are being indoctrination. And he speaks, it's concerning to say the least. He's worth listening to about it, because I think my generation, maybe the one generation behind me, are going to be the last ones that had a free country if we don't do something about it. And then the generation growing up now is being taught about socialism in schools, and it's how good it is. It's not good. Socialism's not good. It might sound good on the surface, but the problem is what it boils down to, and we're going to get more into detail in the next video, because it talks about the Great Reset. Socialism, the problem with it is, let's say we have another shutdown. Trudeau rolls out this universal basic income, says nothing ever is going to be the same again. A lot of people don't get their jobs back. Places full, they close. They're going to take the money because they got to live. They have to live. But the problem with when you go roll full socialism, and the government's paying everybody equal because that's what they want, right? They want everything equal across the board. So I don't make $150,000 a year, but I don't deserve $150,000 a year. I deserve what I get because I haven't done anything to improve that. I don't deserve Jeff's wage over here who's making $80,000 because he went to school for a millwright when I didn't. I don't deserve his wages. If I want those wages, I need to go improve myself to get them. But socialism, the government's going to say, here's you can live off $2,000 a month, $2,500. But then in a couple of years, what's going to happen when $2,500 is too much? I can't afford that no more. We're going to have to scale that back to maybe 2,000 or 1,500. Now you're living a little bit tighter. Now you're living a little tighter. And now you've lost a lot of incentive for people to do better because they don't get any reward out of it. Now, I'm talking full-blown socialism. I know that Canada has social aspects. Healthcare is a big one. But I'm talking full-blown socialism where the elites, not even the government, they're just listening. They want more for themselves and less for you. That's what it boils down to. But they got to sell it to you. They have to sell it to you. And they're selling it to our kids in schools. Listen to Jordan Peterson on this. He goes into depth. I hope you've enjoyed this video. The next video, we're going to talk about the reset, and the dots are going to start to connect. Pay attention. Be safe. Next time.